dayani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam moy dayani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam lefanecha melech chai v'kayam moideyani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam Nishmasi b'chama Rabba v'munasecha Shechazarta Nishmasi Nishmasi b'chama Rabba v'munasecha Moideyani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam Moideyani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam Moideyani lefanecha
Minutes after 6 a.m. Good morning, everybody. My name is Nachum Segal. Welcome to a Tuesday. This is your Jewish Moments in the Morning radio program, and today we're on the road. Today We are officially kicking off the Amit 90th anniversary celebration, the incredible organization, an organization that has linked Israel to our communities here in the United States for 90 years, is in fact celebrating its 90th anniversary, and we are here today with some special guests, wonderful announcements, and a great morning at the Amit headquarters in New York City here at JM in the AM. Now, let me tell you right off the bat, you could watch all the proceedings if you go to the homepage at NachumSegal.com, NachumSegal.com. Go to the homepage of NachumSegal.com. You could watch on video all the proceedings right now, all the way until 9 o'clock Eastern Time from anywhere around the world. And, of course, all of our social media is active, which means if you go to Facebook, the Nachum Segal Network Facebook update page, or Twitter at Nachum Segal Net, or Instagram, simply the name Nachum Segal, one word. Any of those, you'll be able to participate via social media and be up to date on everything that's going on here in New York City as we broadcast around the world from New York, from the Amit headquarters. We have plenty of interesting people to meet. We have a million things to tell you about this incredible organization. It's all coming up between now and 9 o'clock Eastern Time here at JM in the AM. We'll start with some music and get into the action, and we'll welcome our guests coming up, all here at 91.1 FM, 90.1 FM in the Catskills, Rockland County at 91.9 on the FM dial, and around the world on the web, jmtheam.org, with special greetings to those tuned in on the NSN app, the Nachum Segal Network app, which gives you the ability to comment on our show as it's happening. Welcome, and thanks for tuning in to JM in the AM.
שמעו רבותיי, דברי חוכמה, דברי משנה, מהתנא, מגדולי אנשי אמונה, הלל הזקן היה בדרך המוסר, כאן הוא אמר, אם אין אני לי מי לי, וכשאני לעצמי, וכשאני לעצמי,
maroi meinechem ureu mivaro eile Siu maroi meinechem ureu mivaro eile Hashem, kulam, kulam, kulam bichachmo asisa ma'aretz kinyonecho ma'aretz kinyonecho Skies, but all we must do is just open our eyes, Marabo.
JM in the AM, David Lowy from the Atai Madi collection with Marabu. You heard Imain Anili Mili. That's Benny Friedman, of course, brand new. We are at the Amit headquarters in New York City. Today is the day that we are kicking off the Amit 90th anniversary celebration. Lots of big announcements today, including Amit heading to Israel in the month of May. You'll have an opportunity to join them with a special discount, by the way, if you're a listener of ours. For their May mission to Israel. We'll talk about that coming up, of course, here at JM in the AM. And they have, this morning I walked in, and of course, for the last 30-plus years have heard plenty about Amit, and we've spoken about them on the air, but I never, until I saw the map this morning hanging on the wall of the Amit network of schools in Israel, till that point, I had not realized just how influential and how vast their operation is in Israel. We'll get a taste of all of this from special guests who will be joining us coming up here at JM in the AM. Meanwhile, I thank you for tuning in on this Tuesday, a cold Tuesday in New York City, as we do our broadcast from the Amit headquarters in New York. I want to remind everybody that if you head to our website at NachumSegal.com, you could watch all the proceedings on our special video cam, our live camera, all the proceedings here from the Amit offices in New York. If you go to NachumSegal.com, you'll see that video posted on the home page. Social media is active, as we mentioned. And don't forget the NSN app. The NSN app is certainly active. If you don't have it on your iPhone or your Android phone, make sure to install it right now. You can comment on anything going on in the show on the home screen of the app, and we encourage it. More coming up right here at JM in the AM. This comes from Ohad.
סלח לי אבי, כי חטאתי לך, וכל לי על כל פשעי.
על כל פשעי.
גם בימים ששכחתי אותך, היית תמיד בחיי. בכל הדרכים שהלכתי בעצם, היית לי נר לרגליי. הייתי עיוור, לא ראיתי מעבר למה שהביטו
מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, על אושר, על בכי, על צחוק. גם כשקשה לפעמים, גם אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא רחוק. מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, על אושר, על בכי, על צחוק. גם כשקשה לפעמים, גם אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא רחוק.
גם כי אלך ודרכי חשוכה, בטחתי בך אלוקיי. על חצי שני, על בכור וילדה, תודה גם על עושר בלי די. תודה על חגים, על שבת ששומרת, שלא ייגמר לעולם. כל יום שעובר בדרכי לגן עדן, שיוויתי אותך מול עיניי.
מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, על אושר, על בכי, על צחוק. גם כשקשה לפעמים, גם אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא רחוק. מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, על אושר, על בכי, על צחוק. גם כשקשה לפעמים, גם אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא רחוק. מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, על אושר, על בכי, על צחוק. גם כשקשה לפעמים, גם אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא רחוק. מלך מלכי המלכים, תודה על חיים, על אושר, על בכי, על צחוק. גם כשקשה לפעמים, גם אז אלוקים, אתה לעולם לא רחוק.
Oy reim 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 o ahovim sameach tisamach oy reim 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 o ahovim
sameach tisamach oy reim 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 o ahuvim sameach tisamach oy reim 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 o ahuvim
reim o ahovim reim o ahovim kisamecha choyitzircha began neiden mikedem reim o ahovim reim o ahovim kisamecha choyitzircha began neiden mikedem
Tisamach oy reim 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 o ahuvim sameach tisamach oy reim 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 o ahuvim
tisamach oy reim 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 o ahovim sameach tisamach oy reim 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 o ahovim
reim o ahovim reim o ahovim kisamecha choyitzircha began neiden mikedem reim o ahovim reim o ahovim kisamecha choyitzircha began neiden mikedem
JM in the AM, a Tuesday morning broadcast here at 91.1 FM, 90.1 FM in the Catskills, Rockland County at 91.9 on the FM dial, around the world on the web at jmintheam.org. You can watch everything that's happening here at the Amit headquarters this morning on our website. The video is up at NachumSegal.com, and of course we welcome those tuned in on the NSN app mobilely from around the world. Big thank you to Ethan Segal, no relation, but Ethan is the director of marketing here at Amit, has been very helpful obviously in coordinating this morning's program, and we thank him. 35 degrees outside. Temperature actually dropping today. Imagine that. Later on, it'll be 28 with sunshine. Tonight, the low of 15. Yes, it's winter in New York City, and here we are. By the way, Penn Station has problems this morning. Commuters who use Penn Station, be aware that you should look up what to do or what not to do in terms of your commute, because some trains have to bypass Penn Station because of a fire there this morning. So you can check that out and make sure you know to keep your commute as short as possible. Amit has its social media going strong, as you would suspect, and we invite everybody to check out amitchildren.org, amitchildren.org. The website gives you a whole bunch of information about Amit and its incredible work as we kick off the 90th anniversary celebration. The big trip to Israel is coming up starting May the 14th. We'll have details on that later on. Plus, if you're a listener of this program, you are entitled to a special discount, a special rate to join along with Amit in their special May trip to Israel. We'll talk about that coming up. And as I mentioned earlier, I only understood, after all these decades of hearing about and learning about Amit and speaking with their representatives on the air, only this morning when I walked in and saw the map of the network of Amit schools in Israel, that I realized the magnitude of what they're doing north to south, east and west in the Holy Land. That's one of the things we'll learn this morning when we get into our conversations here at JM in the AM. Celebrating 90 years of Amit. We're in their headquarters in New York, 6:30 in the morning. Make sure to look at our video stream on NachumSegal.com. It's there on the homepage. You can watch all of the proceedings this morning between now and 9 o'clock Eastern Time. And amazing programming on our stream all day long, of course, at jmintheam.org. Here is Yaakov Shweki.
בבוקר בתפילה, ציפור השיר נתנה קולה, מודה אני על הנשמה שבי רוגשת והומה. תודה לך על כל הטוב, על יום שגרה שלא ישוב, חיוך תמים ליד הדלת, על אהבה ועל תוחלת. הלב אומר, הלב נרגש, אלה טיפה של יום חדש, ואל טיפה בטעם דבש, מודה אני על חלום שעוד נרקם, על תקוותו של האדם. אני בשיר בבוקר קם, מודה אני. אוסף הערב את שרידיו, סוגר הלילה את ריסיו, שוב נדלקים הכוכבים, נתיב של אור לילדים. הנה אשמורת אחרונה, על מטרים ומנגינה, בצליל ערב ורבגוני, ליבי כבר ער, מודה אני. אלה טיפה של יום חדש, ועל טיפה בטעם דבש, מודה אני על חלום שעוד נרקם, על תקוותו של האדם. אני בשיר בבוקר קם, מודה אני.
טיפה וטעם דבש מודרני חלום שעוד נרקם על תקוותו של האדם אני בשיר בבוקר קר מודרני
ירושלים יהיה עירך ברחמים תשוב תשכון בשעריך כאשר דיברת ירושלים יהיה עירך מלאכמים תשוב תשכון בשעריך כאשר דיברת אבוי וכיסא דוד עבדך יוי מהרה לשיחת אחים יוי וכיסא דוד עבדך יוי מהרה לשיחת אחים יוי וכיסא דוד עבדך יוי מהרה לשיחת אחים יוי וכיסא דוד עבדך יוי מהרה לשיחת אחים לירושלים עירך ברחמים תשוב אז תשכון בשעריך כאשר דיברת לירושלים עירך ברחמים תשוב אז תשכון בשעריך כאשר דיברת יוי וכיסא דוד עבדך יוי מהרה לשיחת אחים יוי וכיסא דוד עבדך יוי מהרה לשיחת אחים
JM in the AM, Eitan Katz. Eitan with Vali Rishalayim. Before that, Yaakov Shweki and Moda Ani as we say good morning here on a Tuesday. Amit headquarters in New York City is where we are. You can follow everything that's happening here. First of all, on our social media, of course, Facebook, the Facebook update page, Nachum Segal Network. On Twitter at Nachum Segal Net. Check it out. AmitChildren.org gives you a perspective on this amazing organization, and we'll speak plenty about it this morning as we start getting into our conversations regarding Amit and its 90th anniversary celebration. Could an organization still be going strong after 90 years? The answer is yes, and we will find out about that coming up here at JM in the AM. 90 years, pretty remarkable. Video right now up on the homepage, NachumSegal.com. You can see from anywhere around the world what's happening here in the Amit headquarters on an early Tuesday morning. Again, that's on the homepage, NachumSegal.com, as we speak. And I especially welcome those who are tuned in on the NSN app. The NSN app gives you the opportunity and the ability to comment on what's happening on this show as it's happening on the home screen of the app. If you have an iPhone or an Android, we strongly suggest that you go ahead and install the app immediately on your phone, and you'll be able to follow you'll be able to comment, rather, on everything that you're following by listening in and watching in to today's radio show. Shiva League Sports Update coming up in the 7 o'clock hour, and plenty more between now and 9 a.m., plus plenty of activity on our stream all day long at jmandam.org. We're live at Amit headquarters in New York City, and here is Avram Fried.
המבורך מזבורך ובחוסה של הקודש ברוך הוא 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 בנש לא חיים לא חיים Chayid, bench, alle Menschen Vet HaKodosh Baruch Hu dir Benchen Bench, no Chayid bench, alle Menschen Vet HaKodosh Baruch Hu dir Benchen המבורך מזבורך בבחוסה של הקודש ברוך הוא 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 בנש לא חייד Chayid, bench, alle Menschen Vet HaKodosh Baruch Hu dir Benchen Bench, no Chayid bench, alle Menschen Vet HaKodosh Baruch Hu dir Benchen Der ist gebencht von Gott allein wie der Schmiel Rohr Oliver Schulem vielleicht unwünschen jeden mit gesinnt in Meniche. Bench, noch a Jid und noch a Jid. Bench, alle Menschen. Vettakodoy, Baruchu. Dir, Menschen. Bench, noch a Jid. Bench, wer nicht mit. Bench, alle Menschen.
שאני לעצמי ואתה לא איתי, מה אני כשאני בנפרד? כי אני יהודי לא הולך לבדי, רק איתך ידידי יד ביד. עם אחד שיר אחד בוא אחי ותן לי יד, ונוכל לשמוח ולרקוד יחד, כאיש אחד בלב אחד, לא רוצה להיות לבד, רק לנצח שבט אחים גם יחד. עם אחד שיר אחד בוא אחי ותן לי יד, ונוכל לשמוח ולרקוד יחד, כאיש אחד בלב אחד, לא רוצה להיות לבד, רק לנצח שבט אחים גם יחד. להיות משפחה זה סוד השמחה, כי ביחד הכל טוב יותר, ואנחנו שרים כל ישראל חברים, ולאף אחד לא נסכים לוותר. עם אחד שיר אחד בוא אחי ותן לי יד, ונוכל לשמוח ולרקוד יחד, כאיש אחד בלב אחד, לא רוצה להיות לבד, רק לנצח שבט אחים גם יחד. עם אחד שיר אחד בוא אחי ותן לי יד, ונוכל לשמוח ולרקוד יחד, כאיש אחד בלב אחד, לא רוצה להיות לבד, רק לנצח שבט אחים גם יחד.
JM in the AM, live from the Amit headquarters in New York City. By the way, Amit, as you would suspect, has an amazing social media presence as well. Some of this you could just search for, but I'll run through it once so you can get a perspective on how to follow Amit's activities via social media. First of all, the website, as we've been mentioning, amitchildren.org. Again, amitchildren.org. And the special discount for today, by the way, for their May Yom Yerushalayim journey to Israel is amitchildren.org/Nachum. Simple as that. If you go to that link today, you're able to save on the May trip to Israel as they celebrate the 90th anniversary in Israel starting on May the 14th. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/amit.children. On Twitter, twitter.com/tweet@Amit. I like that. Again, that's tweet@Amit, and the @ is AT on that one. And on YouTube, you can go to the Amit Children channel. It's youtube.com/user/Amit Children. So plenty of social media for you to get involved with, videos for you to see, and messages for you to read from Amit all through this day, of course, and in general throughout their 90th anniversary celebration. We're here at Amit headquarters in New York City. We'll be speaking with some of the people responsible for this amazing organization. Could it still be going strong after 90 years? The answer is stronger than ever, and we'll find out between now and 9 o'clock plenty about what Amit's doing in Israel. And as I mentioned, just walking in and seeing the map of all the different places and the educational institutions that they have set up and continue to support and sustain in Israel is pretty remarkable. So we will get to all of that coming up right here at JM in the AM. 9 minutes before 7 o'clock on this Tuesday morning. We're in New York. You're watching via video at NachumSegal.com. If you go to the NachumSegal.com website, you can watch all the proceedings here and see all of our guests as we speak to them just by heading to the homepage of our website, so check that out. We're also recommending the NSN app because it gives you the ability to comment on everything happening during the show on the spot, and of course we see those immediately, so you could just go to the App Store on your iPhone or Android and install the Nachum Segal Network app and comment as we go along. Plenty more coming up. This is JM in the AM as we continue with Michal Przensky.
Who you got me son who be koroi the cabates need the no me arba can voice horret who you got me son who be koroi the cabates need the no me arba can voice horret Khaveirim kol Yisroel v'noy maromei Khaveirim kol Yisroel v'noy maromei Khaveirim kol Yisroel v'noy maromei V'noy maromei V'noy maromei Khaveirim kol Yisroel v'noy maromei Khaveirim kol Yisroel v'noy maromei Khaveirim kol Yisroel v'noy maromei V'noy maromei Sonu vikoroi Vikabets nidochenu me arba'an pois hore Yigalu sonu vikoroi Vikabets nidochenu me arba'an pois hore Khaveirim kol Yisroel v'noy maromei Khaveirim kol Yisroel v'noy maromei Khaveirim kol Yisroel v'noy maromei V'noy maromei V'noy maromei Khaveirim kol Yisroel v'noy maromei kol Yisroel v'noy maromein v'noy maromein Chaverim kol Yisroel v'noy maromein Chaverim kol Yisroel v'noy maromein Chaverim kol Yisroel v'noy maromein v'noy maromein v'noy maromein Chaverim kol Yisroel v'noy maromein Chaverim kol Yisroel v'noy maromein v'noy
B'chol har kodshi Ki moretz deyos Hashem Ki mayim liyam chasim Ki moretz deyos Hashem Ki mayim liyam chasim Lo yoreyu V'lo yashki yisu B'chol har kodshi B'chol har kodshi Ki moretz deyos Hashem Ki mayim liyam chasim Ki moretz deyos Hashem Ki mayim liyam chasim Lo yoreyu v'lo yashki yisu B'chol har kodshi B'chol har kodshi Ki moretz deyos Hashem Deyos Hashem Deyos Hashem Lo yoreyu v'lo yashki yisu B'chol har kodshi B'chol har kodshi Ki moretz deyos Hashem Ki mayim liyam chasim Hashem, Kimayim liyam
JM in the AM live from Amit headquarters in New York City as we celebrate Amit's 90 years, kicking off the 90th anniversary celebration here at JM in the AM, and this is America's one and only Jewish Moments in the Morning radio program, heard on listeners-sponsored WFMU East Orange, WMFU Mount Hope, Rockland County at 91.9 on the FM dial, around the world on the web, jmtheam.org. Watching what's happening around the world by tuning into our homepage at NachumSegal.com. You can see the entire proceedings, and we'll start introducing some of our guests coming up in a couple of minutes after our news from Israel here at JM. I want to thank Miriam L. Wallach, of course, who is here producing today's show. I want to thank ZK, who's behind both the board and the camera, and, of course, Danny Goldberg, who's taking care of our social media this morning here at JM and the AM. We thank them all. And Stan, who's in our studio, big shout out to Stan, who's in our studio this morning here at JM and the AM. In the background, you could hear Galei Tzal as we get set for our news from Israel, which is coming up. And the Yeshiva League Sports Update in the 7 o'clock hour, of course, and much, much more on our stream all day long. Amazing programming. Go to jmandtheam.org at any point today, and you can hear amazing music, plus great live lunch and wonderful programming all through the day. Don't forget, if you're interested, and I'm sure you are, in heading to Israel for Yom Yerushalayim and being there for the 90th anniversary of Amit in Israel as they celebrate starting May the 14th with this amazing mission, go to amitchildren.org/Nachum, amitchildren.org/Nachum. Galei Tzal, Israel Army Radio, 2 p.m. newscast for a Tuesday is next at JM and the AM.
גלי צה"ל השעה 2, כאן רן יבנאי עם מה שקורה עכשיו. בירושלים הובאו למנוחות 4 הנרצחים בפיגוע בפריז: יוהאן כהן, יואב חטב, פרנסואה מישל סעדה ופיליפ ברהם. אלפים ליוו אותם בדרכם האחרונה, ובני משפחתם קראו קדיש במשותף. אלמנתו של ברהם, ולרי, ספדה לו.
פיליפ, אהובי, היקר, היה בן אדם פרפקט. אני בוכה, אבל אני יודעת שאתם כולם בוכים איתי.
נשיא המדינה ראובן ריבלין ספד גם הוא ל4 ואמר: נרצחתם רק בגלל שאתם יהודים.
יואב, יוהאן, פיליפ, פרנסואה מישל, לא כך. רצינו לראות אתכם שבים הביתה למדינת ישראל, לבירתה ירושלים. ביקשנו אתכם חיים, ביקשנו אתכם חיים.
שרת איכות הסביבה והאנרגיה של צרפת, סגולן רויאל, אמרה שהממשל בפריז נחוש לעצור את גל הטרור.
Chaque coup porté à un juif est un coup porté au peuple français.
כל מכה נגד יהודי, מכה נגד העם הצרפתי, אמרה רויאל, והוסיפה: צרפת תנצח במאבק נגד האנטישמיות, נסתייע באמצעים מיוחדים. בהלוויה השתתפו גם ראש הממשלה נתניהו ויושב ראש האופוזיציה הרצוג.
אני מאמין שהם יודעים בעומק ליבם שיש להם ארץ אחת, מדינת ישראל, שתקבל אותם תמיד בזרועות פתוחות.
הזוועות המחרידות שפקדו אותנו לא יערערו את יסודות הפלדה של העם שלנו, עם ישראל. נקרא למנהיגי אומות העולם, ייצרו את נחשולי הגזענות, ייצרו את האנטישמיות ושנאת האדם.
עומסים כבדים בנתב"ג בשל שביתת פתע של עובדי משרד הפנים. כתבנו אלדר גילרן.
ברשות שדות התעופה הודיעו כי עובדי ביקורת הגבולות פתחו בשביתה איטלקית ללא כל הודעה מוקדמת, ובשל כך נרשמים תורים ארוכים בנתב"ג. לדבריהם מדובר בצעד פרוע שנעשה בניגוד להסכמות. מנגד, בהסתדרות אמרו בתגובה כי לא ניתנה כל הנחיה לפתוח בשביתה, וכי מדובר בעומסים רגילים.
שר הביטחון משה בוגי יעלון מתייחס להעברה שפרסם היועץ המשפטי לממשלה באשר לנוהל חניבל ולקריאות לחקור את אירועי יום שישי השחור ברפיח. כתבנו גיא ורון שמע אותו בביקור בקריית שמונה.
כניסה גסה של מערכת משפטית לתוך שיקולים מבצעיים פוגעת ברוח הלחימה. כשפותח נוהל חניבל נשקלו בו כל השיקולים, ושיקולים לא רק משפטיים, יש פה שיקולים מוסריים, ערכיים, יש פה שיקולים מבצעיים.
מועצת התלמידים הארצית תשבית מחר את הלימודים בבתי הספר העל-יסודיים, מחאה על ביטול הטיולים השנתיים. יושבת ראש המועצה גל יוסף כינסה בצהריים מסיבת עיתונאים ואיימה בשביתה ממושכת אם המשבר לא ייפתר.
אנחנו מבינים לחלוטין את הטענה של המורים, ואנחנו מאמינים שצריך למצוא להם פתרון, אבל הדרך זה לא על הגב שלנו. אם לא יהיה פתרון ביום רביעי, אז ביום חמישי אנחנו נשבית לימודים. אם לא יהיה פתרון ביום חמישי, ביום שישי נשבית לימודים. אני מקווה שלא נצטרך להגיע לשם. את
הדברים הביאה כתבתנו תמר פלד. התחזית: מחר במהלך היום צפוי גשם מקומי בצפון ובמרכז, בדרום ירד גשם קל. אלה החדשות שעורך חדר שיפר.
JM and the AM at 5 minutes after 7 o'clock. A lot of important messages in that newscast as the funerals of those who were murdered on Friday in Paris were taking place in Israel. Yesh lachem eretz achat. And that was one of the messages that we just heard. There is only one place for the Jewish people. And reminders, including from the President of Israel, Ruby Rivlin, that those who were murdered because they were Jews. We'll talk more about it, of course, as we go through the week and analyze the different events that are happening in the aftermath of what happened in Paris this past Friday, and I thank the vice chair of the communities of the Jewish communities organization of France, who joined us yesterday here at JM and the AM, gave us an amazing perspective on the present and the future, the big question mark surrounding the future of French Jewry. We're here at the Amit headquarters in New York City, and today is a day of celebration. Today is a day to recognize amazing work that's being done in Israel. AmitChildren.org is the website. We are recommending the May 14th mission to Israel, which will commemorate Amit's 90th anniversary celebration. You'll be able to celebrate Yom Yerushalayim in Yerushalayim with Amit. You can go to amitchildren.org/Nachum for information about the special that is being offered today regarding registration for the trip. Again, that's amitchildren.org/Nachum, Nachum, for information on that. And I am joined right now by Barbara Raskoff. In addition to being a board member, she is chair of the Board of Governors, and she's waving to our audience around the world at the moment as our video is up at NachumSegal.com. She appreciates a video camera that is being seen around the world and understands that people are tuned in from everywhere. Well, as you get set to welcome us to Amit headquarters, I say Mazal Tov to you on behalf of Amit as they celebrate 90 years, and welcome to JM and the AM.
Thank you. It's a great privilege to be here, and we're really very grateful for this opportunity.
I thank you for that. And this is something, people ask the question if after 90 years an organization can still be effective, can still be one that accomplishes great things, and it's obvious that Amit is doing amazing things. Tell us first, there's so many curious people out there who want to know about the opening of this organization 90 years ago and why it started. Why is Amit what it is today?
That is a very good question. Well, our founder, Bessie Gottfeld, you can see her picture right up in the wall. She had a vision, and she was a Polish woman who was raised in a pioneering home, in a Zionist home. She moved to New York and eventually to Israel. But she had a vision that there were poor people in Israel who needed to be educated to be productive members of Israeli society. And she wanted to start schools, particularly for young women who needed to have a trade so that they could have self-esteem and contribute to the Israel that was beginning in the Yeshua time, in the time of Palestine in 1925. Our first school opened in 1933 in Jerusalem, soon followed with the school in Tel Aviv in 1938. And it goes on and on and on.
All
from
this
there.
Before the state, of course.
Even way before the state of Israel.
And when education...
A visionary. She was truly a visionary.
And when education, especially for women, was viewed a lot differently than it is today.
Precisely. She really had a vision both for Israel and for women in a very, very early stage.
And this is all, as we say again, I have to remind some of the young people out there, the state was founded in 1948. We're talking about somebody who was a pioneer way before the state was founded. A lot of people have heard about this organization. What does it do today in 2015? What is Amit doing in Israel?
Wow. I can't even begin to tell you how fabulous Amit is. We have 110 schools throughout the country. We service 30,000 children in 29 different communities throughout the land of Israel. And our range is so great, it would take me a half hour just to describe what we do. But to shorten it just a bit, we run elementary schools and high schools, yeshivot, ulpanot. We have Hesder yeshivas, both for men and women. Our first and only, I think the only Hesder yeshiva for women is run by Amit. We have schools for art, for science, for law. We treat children who are below the 70% line and economically challenged. We service children who are gifted and talented. We serve children who need facilities to live, basically foster care facilities. We teach every child according to their way and to bring out the talents of each child. We are teaching a whole person. Our goals are Bagrut, of course, and for each child to be highly successful in every way, but we want the whole person to be successful and to have self-esteem and to be contributing to the state of Israel in the long term.
We know as a people how important education is to that entire component, what an important piece education is. And when you say Bagrut, you're talking about matriculation, graduation, getting to the next level.
Precisely.
Making sure that one is fulfilled educationally. Barbara Raskoff is here greeting us as our opening guest on a special Tuesday morning at JMM. We're at Amit headquarters celebrating their 90th anniversary. They were founded 90 years ago and provide education and nurturing wonderful care for children in Israel. And we should stress that when you talk about education, it's really of all ages, because you talk about Bagrut and we may think, high school to college and beyond, but you're talking about every age, really.
We start early because we like children to be formed in our philosophy. So we have undertaken elementary schools, which we did not have originally, but now we see the value in that. So often Amit takes over a whole community, and we become part and parcel of that community. In their education, we even encompass the whole family very often. So there is no stopping Amit. We have been there for every Aliyah, starting in 1925, and here we are in 2015. Hard to believe, but we have encompassed the children from the Holocaust, from the countries in the East, from Russia, from Ethiopia, from France, unfortunately. But we have reinvented ourselves with every need that Israel has had along the way. We are there for the country of Israel.
One of the things I said was that when I walked in this morning, and I've been to Amit events, and I have seen and heard firsthand accounts from people who've been at dedications of schools and have visited schools, and I'm sure you've visited many times. But when you look at the map, the one that's on the wall here, and you see the list of what is going on, who's in charge of the network in Israel?
That's a great question.
I mean, there's a lot of work to be done on the ground there.
It is a huge operation in Israel, and we have as our leader, our Mankal. His name is Amnon Eldar, and he is a very special human being in very many ways, but starting with the fact that he was raised in the Amit network. His parents, and his mother in particular, was the head of Amit Beit HaYeled, the fresh Amit Beit HaYeled, and she ran that facility for 30 years. So he is born to this. It's in his blood. But not only that, he was a major in the army. He has a PhD. He is the heart and soul of Amit in Israel. He is a man with great vision, intelligence, and heart. He refers to rabbis for all of his concerns where he is not sure of something. He's a learner and a teacher. He's a magnificent human being, and we're very, very fortunate to have him.
It's amazing how it seems with any organization that has someone like that at the helm, it's always somebody from within who really can appreciate what it's like to grow up in the system as you just described.
At first we thought he'd be too nice, but he's not that. He's perfect.
Very good. And I'm sure he has to look for a tremendous number of staff and put together.
That is true, and he selects his staff with great care and with great appreciation. He shows great appreciation for his principals and his teachers. Amit is not a top-down organization, in spite of the fact that our top is so wonderful. But they really reach down to the teacher level, to the principal level, and inquire and ask them what they need and what their opinions are, and really bring them into the fold. So we are constantly teaching our staff as well as learning from our staff.
What's the most recent school you visited?
I unfortunately haven't been in Israel in almost 5 years due to my husband's health issues, so I can't really say. But you probably other people will speak to that.
Okay, but you probably could tell us about schools that you've seen over the years that are pretty amazing.
Definitely. When you go to a school in Israel, Well, you're greeted very beautifully, as we all are in Israel, you know. The hospitality is par
they get it
excellence.
right.
They get it right, exactly. But the principals and the students show such utter gratitude to the organization in the United States for what we do to support them. There's a true understanding of the relationship that where we are supporting their huge effort, we are doing our part, they are doing their part. And it's palpable. It's palpable. You come out transformed when you go on a mission, an Amit mission, and you live that life just for a few days. You are a changed person. All that you can learn in this country, and you can learn a lot, is nothing compared to just making that trip to Israel and spending those few days. You are living with real Israelis in their real lives, in their real situations, and really understanding the value of the Amit education and what we bring, the added value.
I like the fact that they're able to acknowledge and understand and acknowledge the role of the American Jewish community in all of this.
This is true.
That people respond and support, and it's because of the efforts of people on this side of the world that they're able to continue at the level that they're at.
This is true. It's truly a partnership.
Barbara Raskoff, chair of the Board of Governors and a board member, of course, at Amit, joining us as we kick off the 90th anniversary celebration. And this is a very significant event, obviously. 90 is a very big number.
Yes. and I'm looking forward to it.
90 is a big number for Amit. And unlike some other 90-year-olds out there who may slow up a bit, this organization seems to keep getting stronger and stronger.
Right.
So thank God.
If you become involved with Amit, you live a long and rich and healthy life.
There you go.
God willing.
Barbara, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good having you here this morning.
Wonderful to be here.
Barbara Raskoff, chair of the Board of Governors, opening up our program this morning. One thing you're going to get this morning, folks, is a perspective on what Amit does. We can, in a very concise manner, give an amazing education over these airwaves about incredible organizations that are doing great work in the Jewish world. And Amit, as we said, if it's their schools in the east or west, north or south of Israel, they are doing a remarkable job. The president of Amit and the board member, of course, is Debbie Isaac, who is here. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
What a wonderful thing to become president of this incredible organization.
Yes, although some people have given me condolences, but it's now been a while, and I have found it a wonderful experience.
How long has it been?
I'm now in my 4th year.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a real commitment.
Yes.
When was your last trip to Israel?
I just got back, actually. I came back from Israel. I came through Paris, actually, on Wednesday, but I was in Israel for 2 weeks preceding that.
And which is the most recent school that you visited in the Holy Land?
Well, I've spent a lot of time recently in Beit HaYeled, which is not exactly a school, but one of our facilities.
Right. What happens there?
There, we have children who are essentially in foster care. It's a unique facility. We have 2 facilities like that in Israel. Beit HaYeled is one of them. It's for younger children. They live in units with surrogate parents. And also a unique idea there is that we have Midreshet Amit there, which is a program for young people from the diaspora, mostly from the United States, who are studying there. My daughter happens to be studying there this year, so I have a unique perspective of that facility as well.
So that's open to students who, I guess, finish their senior year of high school.
Correct.
And is it becoming more and more common that students from this area are heading there for...
That has been common for a while,
Really?
and it remains a strong tradition, and we have a wonderful group of young women there this year. We have 50 women there this year, and that is actually our max. We can take up to that because we have a facility of about 120 to 130 children there, and the girls work with them as big sisters, so it's a very nice experience.
Very nice. All right. One of the things that we keep hearing about is how at the Amit schools, life skills, vocational training, these are things that the students pick up. Tell me about the vocational training aspect of this.
So we actually have 6 specific facilities which are vocational training facilities, and what they are is a place for students who have not been successful in other academic settings. Usually, in order to be accepted to our facilities, they had to have had a failure in maybe about 5 other places beforehand, before we actually take them in. So you hear what kind of students we're dealing with. And the state initially said, these are failures, and really what we want you to do is keep them off the street.
Right.
And Amit said, no way. We don't just keep children off the street. We want to improve their lives, and so we do. So today, in addition to giving them traditional studies, we also give them a training in some kind of field that they can continue with in life. So one lovely example of that is what we call our auto tech track. We have this in 3 of our facilities, and it's now at a very high level, and students are able to learn how to repair the computer systems, diagnose and repair computer systems in cars and trucks, etc. It's very, very highly valued by the Army. So they go in at a very high level into the Army because of this training. And here we are with students who were on the streets who are now going in at a very high level and highly regarded in the Army. So there's a success right there.
Where are those programs, by the way?
So we have 2 in Jerusalem.
Right.
We have 1 in Ramla, 1 in Ashkelon, 1 in Beersheba, and Or Akiva.
So they're practically all over. And the students, I mean, at what age are they being designated as these failures, unfortunately? Like, at what point are they walking into the Amit school, the vocational training?
These are students in the high school level, and sometimes they're literally found on the streets. Sometimes they're literally being sent to us by judges, and sometimes they're being sent by other educational institutions who have said, here's a child who hasn't made it. And so they come to us then.
And by the time they leave high school, they're ready to get into their Army years and have a real position. I mean, these stories are remarkable because, as you said as you opened this segment, literally, you're just hoping to keep them off the streets. The government is praying that, they don't become juvenile delinquents or real menaces to society, so to speak. And the exact opposite happens. They walk into your facility, and they walk out as flourishing people who are ready to help out.
Absolutely. I'm always floored by the stories. I mean, we had one young gentleman who came to us to say thank you when we were visiting one of our facilities. We have a similar facility also in conjunction with our kfar in Petach Tikva. And he had 3 hours off from the Army, and he spent those 3 hours coming to visit us. He had to travel very far just to say thank you, because today he has an excellent position and he's looking forward to starting his own family, and he had come from very, very tough circumstances, and now he's on a path to real success. We have other ones who have gone on to open their own auto mechanic shops. All kinds of, and they're very successful. They do very well in those fields.
It's a good field to know, that's for sure.
Yes.
I like the fact that there's so much, and I don't know what happens in other countries, frankly, but it's amazing that there's so much appreciation for what the American Jewish community is doing. You're here and working hard with your staff and board to, create events and motivate people to give and to support and to visit, etc. And they get that over there. They understand that all this is happening because of the work being done here, which is really nice.
Yes, and it is important what we do, because we would not achieve what we do achieve without the support that comes here from the United States, and also we even have supporters in Europe and in Israel as well.
Right, yeah, we shouldn't neglect them, that's for sure. Debbie Isaacs here, she's president of Amit, a position that she holds proudly for many years already. You told us a story of this auto mechanic program. What about the young ladies? Because I was told that there's some that have gotten into the area of personal finance and have gained in that area of education.
Yes, so really interesting in also facilities where we have, and this is talking about one specific area of what we do many other things, but for example, there was one young woman who we met who now runs a private clinic in Herzliya, a private medical clinic in Herzliya. She's the head of that and runs the whole thing, and she also came from very difficult kind of circumstances. So in addition to the traditional educational model and what she got out of that from us, we also have programs that help especially young women to understand how to manage their finances, how to manage their relationships, how should they look if they're going in to talk to people about an interview, etc., etc. And this is a holistic approach, which is really important in this kind of setting, as well as in many other things that we do. I mean, we have a very successful program integrating now young men from the Haredi sector getting now a secular education that they would not have gotten before. But our program is successful because we look at the whole child and the community that they're coming from, and that makes us successful in every sphere. So it's always an opportunity for whoever needs one, and we look for what they need.
What's amazing about the children in Israel is, generally speaking, if you give them the resources that they need to advance, they're going to do very well.
Yes.
And it's incredible what you're able to accomplish by supporting the schools. Debbie Isaac is the president of Amit, and here on a Tuesday morning broadcast from Amit headquarters in New York City. I want to remind everybody that the 90th anniversary celebration, which we are commemorating today, really kicks up in Israel on May the 14th, when you have an opportunity to celebrate that week, Yom Yerushalayim in Israel. I want to remind everybody that there is a phone number to call to get information about the trip at 212-792-5698, 212-792-5698. You could also go to amitchildren.org/Nachum for the special discount today, amitchildren.org/Nachum for the special discount today. Debbie, anything else you want to add?
Yes, I do want to say that today we are really working on revolutionizing the educational system in Israel, and that is such a wonderful thing because it will have an impact on the entire country. So we've been talking about some individual cases, but overall, because of our breadth and width in Israel, we are able to really make a huge change. We're in the process of retraining our teachers to the modern model of education. And so that affects children at all levels, no matter where they're coming from. And ultimately, because of our great partnership with the Ministry of Education, that will ultimately be rolled out to the whole country. So by having an effect on our organization, by partnering with our organization, you're also partnering with the entire country. And I think this is a real important point. The impact is very broad.
I'm sure the Ministry of Education appreciates the fact that you're staying 2015, that you're continuously evolving and keeping up with the times, so to speak, to make sure that the educational system that you're providing is as modern and as good as ever.
They appreciate it. They partner with us. They actually look to us to be a laboratory for them. We've done it with other programs in the past, and we're now doing it with our latest programming. And I think we've been successful in the past, and they know we'll be successful going forward.
Phenomenal. Continued success as president of Amit.
Thank you.
Debbie Isaac, everybody. President of Amit. She's our leader here at Amit, and we appreciate her joining us here on a Tuesday morning broadcast. It's JM in the AM. More coming up from Amit headquarters in New York City. A reminder that the mission to Israel is amitchildren.org/Nachum, amitchildren.org/Nachum. They're leaving on May the 14th. We're celebrating 90 years, and you can call for information about the trip or anything that we're discussing this morning by dialing 212-792-5698, 212-792-5698. Reminder, you could see everything that's happening here at Amit headquarters this morning by heading to the web at NachumSegal.com. The video is up on the homepage. And also, if you want to comment on anything happening this morning, our NSN app. The NSN app is a wonderful way to do that. Yeshiva League sports update time. It's Tuesday here at JM in the AM. Let's check out what's happening at the Yeshiva League, hockey and basketball. Yeshiva League sports update now with Elliot Weiselberg at JM in the AM.
Thanks, Nachum. Straight ahead on your Tuesday morning JM in the AM sports update. Frisch and TABC round out their rivalry week with two battles on the TABC hockey hardwood, and that other rivalry, DRS and Hefter, gets taken up a notch at the Satchin Memorial Basketball Tournament. Good morning, I'm Elliot Weiselberg. Last Wednesday, we reviewed Tuesday night's basketball matchups between Frisch and TABC, swept by the Cougars in exciting fashion. This past Motzei Shabbos, the Storm would get the opportunity to even things up when the two schools met for a doubleheader of hockey action in TABC. The night began with the JV squads, both tied for second place in the Western Conference with 10 points. Goalies Refi Minsky and Charlie Freilich were able to keep the game scoreless through one and for most of the second, despite a slew of power plays for each team. The second period would not go without a goal, though, as Josh Hortentile would put TABC up 1-0 16 seconds into a power play with 2:34 remaining. Fast forward to the third, 8:20 remaining, Josh Lyman clears the ball to the Frisch net and watches it trickle by Freilich and into the net for an insurance goal that would prove to be important, as with just under 3 minutes remaining, Johnny Newman would cut into the lead, roofing a shot high, snapping Minsky's shutout streak of almost 70 minutes stretching back through his last game versus Ramaz. The Cougars would have one last chance when TABC was called for a chipping penalty with 1:45 to go, but could not capitalize, resulting in a 2-1 final, pushing TABC into second place in the West, a spot that Frisch has now rejoined them at after they went over Ramaz last night. As a result of Ramaz's loss, the Rams were eliminated from playoff contention, and we now have our 5 Western playoff contenders. Who are they? Listen to the court report this Sunday night as we preview the playoff scenarios for the hockey and basketball leagues. If you thought the basketball games followed an uncanny similar pattern last week, the hockey games did the same. After a scoreless first, TABC jumped on the board 4:38 into the second on a power play goal from Alex Malik, beating Alex Kirschenbaum short side for the 1-0 Storm lead. Not even 2 minutes later, the Storm would strike again as the duo of Daniel Levy and Yair Noller connected again, with Levy finding Noller streaking across the middle with a pass that Noller put to the back of the net for a 2-0 lead. Like in JV, Frisch would attempt a late comeback. With 2:42 left in the game, Mikey Rubin would buzz one by the ears of Rami Levine to cut the lead to 1. Rubin would have an opportunity to tie the game a moment later, but could not capitalize, and neither would his team for the remainder of the game, leading to another 2-1 TABC result, evening up the school series at 2-2. The hockey teams will meet up once more, as will the JV basketball teams in the closing weeks of the 2014-2015 regular season. Interestingly enough, as one rivalry heats up, another gets even hotter. This past Sunday featured the 2015 edition of the Scott Satrin Memorial Basketball Tournament hosted by HAFTR. Participating in the event were varsity teams from host HAFTR, North Shore, Hank, and, you could have already guessed it, DRS. In the first round, DRS edged out North Shore 37-32 in overtime, while HAFTR dispatched of Hank to set up another match between the two schools, already having met twice this year in the regular season, with HAFTR winning both. But what would a rivalry be without a little comeuppance every now and then? Gabriel Leifer dropped 31 points in the finals to lead the Wildcats over HAFTR 56-47, handing the Hawks their first loss this school year. Thankfully for HAFTR, the games did not count for the school league, so their record is still spotless, but this sure does create some interesting chatter heading down the road towards March. Want to find out more? Tune into the Court Report this Sunday night at 7 p.m., where we will uplift your vacation by talking about what else? School. Or school sports, to be precise. Only on the Nachum Segal Network, NachumSegal.com. And that was your Tuesday morning JM in the AM Sports Update. I'm dreaming of someplace warmer than 23 degrees. Enjoy your vacations, everyone.
Sounds like Elliot's also dreaming of getting a little bit more rest. He has been at so many games over the last few days. It's pretty amazing. Yeshiva League Sports Update Tuesdays, 7 o'clock hour right here at JM and the AM. We'll give everybody Goldwasser the day off today and continue with our Amit 90th anniversary celebration. That's right. Happy birthday, Amit. You're 90 years old at this point and going strong, stronger than ever, frankly. Remember, there was a mission to Israel to celebrate Amit's 90th. It's happening May the 14th. You can go to the website, amitchildren.org/Nachum, to get your special discount for the Yom Yerushalayim mission. Again, that's amitchildren.org/Nachum, or call this number, 212-792-5698. That's 212-792-5698. I've been referencing, even before I started the show this morning, I've been referencing the Amit network map that hangs here in its main headquarters in New York City. And if you look at the map and look at the list that accompanies the map, it is an unbelievable network of schools that is in operation as a network in Israel. Just incredible. Every city you can imagine, and in some of those cities, the list goes on and on. So if you want a perspective on what Amit is doing, that's a good place to start. Head to the map. If you go to our app, the NSN app, right now, that map is the background of our app. Get it? The map is the background of our app. So right now, if you go to the NSN app, you can see exactly what I'm referring to, an incredible visual of what Amit is doing in the state of Israel to educate our children. And again, that happens from north to south and from east to west. The map is on the NSN app right now. Andy Goldsmith is Executive Vice President here at Amit. He invited us to an event a few months ago that I found fascinating, and one of the reasons I found it fascinating is because I saw, we always talk about unity, and we always talk about the broad spectrum of the Jewish community. That night, I saw the broad spectrum of the Jewish community, how it comes out to support the work of Amit and how it appreciates what Amit is doing in Israel. Andy Goldsmith, welcome to JM and the AM.
Nachum, thank you so much. It's a great privilege to be here. We sent out some email blasts about this broadcast, So I got an email this morning from one of our supporters in Israel who used to live in the Teaneck area.
Yeah.
And he says, make sure you tell Nachum that he's the uncle that everyone wishes they had. So, Uncle Nachum, it's great to have you here.
I appreciate that. Nice to have nephews like you, I'll tell you that much. I hear that Amit had a banner year in 2014, thank God, and I hope you're off to a great start in 2015.
It was extraordinary. Through the help of some of our, from all of our supporters, we had the greatest revenue year I think we've ever had in Amit's 90-year history. And it's a trend that's been going up every year. We've been adding the last 4 or 5 years $1 million more to the revenue that we're sending to Israel. It's extraordinary. It's extraordinary, and it speaks to the love of our Amit community for the future of the state of Israel.
And I'm about to show you why it's so necessary, because, this is just remarkable. I know that I'm making a very big deal about it, but I'm making a big deal about it for a reason. I walked in this morning, and this map that you're looking at right now really sums it all up. Basically, sums it all up. It's a map of from the top to the bottom and from the east to the west of Israel. Every city you can imagine is covered by the Amit school system, the network of schools. And on top of that, if you look at some of the cities, it is incredible how long each individual list is, how much work's being done by Amit in each one of these individual cities. So it's a great way to sum up the whole situation of Amit in Israel. People could see it right now on the cover of on the front homepage of the NSN app, and there you have it. It's right there in front of you.
One of the most wondrous things about our organization is that we evolve. And let's be realistic. Israel today isn't the Israel that we grew up on. Israel has the largest number of startup companies in the world after the United States. It's ranked number 2 for venture capital funds. It's outside the U.S. and Canada. Israel has the largest number of NASDAQ companies. Extraordinary. And if you go to Israel and you look in any direction, what do you see? You see cranes. You see building. I can't find myself around Yerushalayim anymore because there's always a new road and a new tunnel. So it's a different country than what we grew up on. You want to make a long-distance phone call? You don't have to go to the post office and wait online for 3 hours and hope that they're not on strike. You pick up your phone, it's right there with you. Additionally, there's a military that's to be reckoned with. Let's be realistic. The days of the Davidka, the days of worrying about Israel's survival, aren't there anymore for us. It's a powerful nation. It's strong. It's more and more self-reliant. It's more and more self-confident. It's an economic miracle. You think about it. Our homeland is blessed with no natural resources whatsoever. So what do we develop? What's our chief export? Brains. Jewish brains is our chief export. Wow. And we were a part of that evolution. We're a part of that story. So the question is, if it's not a question of survival anymore, survival of the state of Israel, what's our role as Zionists, people who love Israel? Okay, we can't all go nefesh b'nefesh and go to Israel. So how do we play a role in this? What is Israel going to look like? If it's not a question of survival, are we going to be proud of her? And that's why we are magical. That's why Amit steps right to the forefront. How do we make Israel envision all that we know it can be? How can we tell our non-Jewish friends in our office, the state of Israel, let me tell you about it, let me tell you why it's wonderful. And what we are is we are the middle of Israel. That's really what, not geographically,
right,
but hashkafically,
right,
from a Zionist standpoint. And now, let's be realistic. In Israel today, you have a Haredi camp and you have a Chiloni camp, and they really don't talk to each other in any way whatsoever, especially now with elections. That's a different issue, right? But even it's not like here where we can sit with other Jews of different backgrounds and have a conversation. It doesn't happen in Israel. But if you go into almost any one of our schools, you're going to find a unique Jewish children, a mix. 20% Ethiopian, 20% Russian, 60% Sabra, Sephardim, Ashkenazim, in one group, talking to each other, respecting each other's values, respecting each other's commitment to the state of Israel. That's the future of Israel. That's where we make our investment.
And you continue to expand into those areas, as we mentioned earlier, with the Haredi schools, Haredi programs that are now being implemented. You're trying to reach out. Just the opposite of becoming insular. You want to do as much as you can for both ends of the community.
Well, we have 2 sets of partners. First is our supporters from the United States and from Europe. That's our base. And that provides us about $12 or $13 million of assistance. But we take those funding, and our biggest partner is the government of Israel.
Right.
Our budget in Israel is about $115 million next year. We're providing a 10% of that, but that 10% is the foundation that lets us go to so many great levels. Now, in the Haredi sector, for example, we were invited by the Haredi community to come into their communities. That's a very difficult thing. Mm-hmm. We bring a different educational model than they're used to. We prepare our students to be successful in life, to go to the army, to get gainful employment. They invited us in. At the same time, The Chiloni community, who typically didn't identify with us, also invited us in. So we're carefully, without trying to lose our identity, making our family bigger, making our family stronger. Be realistic. Israel today has problems of racism, it has problems of prejudice, it has problems of misogyny. There's a Yerida problem. You don't believe me? Go to Los Angeles. You can hear Hebrew just as much as you can hear any other language. We are addressing those issues with measurable outcomes. We don't want to just equip our students to get jobs and go to the army and do wonderful things. We want them to get jobs and build the state of Israel and take us to the next level.
Right.
That's where we make our investment, and that's where we take our supporters, and working closely hand in hand with our network of schools in Israel, with our professional leadership there, our professionals there, building what Israel will look like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now. So we can say, wow, it's Israel. That's truly a light into the nations.
One of the things I know that I'll reiterate because I think it's so important, this attitude that you're portraying that goes on in Israel, right to left, unity, etc., that's what I found in New York. That's what I found with the Amit supporters in New York, that there's an amazing cross-section. There are people of all stripes, of all different backgrounds that appreciate what goes on. And that's quite an accomplishment. That's number one. And number two, we know in Jewish organizational experience that after many decades, some organizations only exist, on their stationery, on their paper, so to speak. You guys are exactly the opposite. You're at 90 years now, Mazal Tov on that. And you're stronger than ever, which is pretty amazing. And I think that that's one of the biggest challenges always, is staying relevant, staying active, and really staying influential after a long period of time like that.
We have an extraordinary partnership. Our lay leadership are really visionaries. From the start 90 years ago, they were visionaries. But even today, let me give you an example. We're all experiencing the tragedy of what happened in France,
sure,
right? I got an email from our professional leadership in Israel saying, okay, we have 600 French students in our schools in Netanya and Ashdod and a couple of other communities, right? Now they're thinking about, okay, there's probably going to be a new aliyah of French Jews coming into Israel.
Right.
There's going to be a new aliyah of French students coming into Israel.
Right.
Are we ready for them? Let's start thinking about it now.
How do we prepare ourselves?
How do we prepare? Because we were there for the North African aliyah, we were there for the Ethiopian aliyah, we were there for the Russian aliyah, all right? What's next? We're always thinking about what's next, and our leadership here, our lay leadership here, are always asking those questions. They're not satisfied. We have 110 schools, and we have an 83% matriculation pass rate, which is unprecedented of any network of schools in Israel. It's unprecedented. 83 students out of 100 that come into an Amit school will pass the Bagrut exam. And by the way, it's not like the SAT exam. Like, if they looked at me in high school, forget it. I'd be sleeping on the street right now. In Israel, when you hit 11th and 12th grade, you take this Bagrut exam. If you don't pass this exam, you're not going to get into a good unit in the army. You're certainly not going to be an officer. You're not going to get into university.
Right.
And your future goes from here to here. Well, 10 years ago, our rate was much lower. I think it was 58%, which is about the national average. Now the national average is a little bit higher at 62%. And they said, we want to reach 80%. It was a ridiculous goal.
That 80% of the kids in your schools should be able to pass through the Bagrut.
And by the way, our kids come, I have 6 children. Some are blessed with their mother's brains, and they do really well academically, and some take after me, and they don't do so well. So we don't pick kids just from, smart areas or better.
Right.
We have kids, 70% of
it's
our kids.
a real mix.
Yeah, you've got kids literally off the boat. You've got Ethiopian kids who are the first kids in their family to speak Hebrew. We have every kind of kid, from the smartest to the less gifted. So our numbers, 83% of these kids come and pass the Bagrut exam. Now, we don't know what happens to them 5, 10 years, 20 years later. We're trying to figure that out now. We want to study this and see, wow, okay, if our kids go from here to here, where do they go from there? But it's an incredible number. You give a kid a future. You give the kid the ability to reach their potential. Because I think the biggest tragedy in any life is a potential not realized.
Yeah, and we as a community get that, and we understand how important education is. Andy Goldsmith is here, Executive Vice President of Amit. He is very passionate about this cause, and is certainly recommending that everybody out there do what you can to hop on the Amit bandwagon. In fact, if people want to contribute, we'll ask how people can do that in a moment. One of the centerpieces of the 90th anniversary celebration is this journey to Israel. It happens May the 14th. We're encouraging people to join you. They will obviously see, and we'll talk more about the trip later on, but obviously people will see the schools up close and get a perspective with their own eyes of some of the things we're talking about. And if you're on the NSN app right now, you can see the map of schools that we've been referencing this morning. Phone number for the trip to Israel in May is 212-792 212-792-5698, 212-792-5698, or amitchildren.org/Nachum for today's big offer. Again, that's amitchildren.org/Nachum. Why people should contribute and become part of this wonderful system.
I think if you want to truly influence the future of the State of Israel in ways wondrous and immeasurable, I don't see a better investment. You know, when I speak to our supporters, I don't want their charity for charity's sake. I want them to be stakeholders and investors in the future of Israel. And when you look at our measurable outcomes, when you look at our transparency compared to any other Jewish organization, any other charitable organization, it's extraordinary. Take a look at us. If you're a supporter of ours, you should be proud of what you've done. You should be proud of what you've accomplished. You should be proud of what we are accomplishing. That's why people should come on the mission, to see for themselves what their investment has done. And if you're not yet a supporter of Amit, and you're passionate about the State of Israel and concerned about her future, what she will look like, then I think we are the best investment possible.
Well said. Thank you, Andy Goldsmith. Thanks for having us here today. Your passion is amazing, and it's great to see you. And wonderful to be here celebrating Amit's 90th birthday. It's quite a year, everybody, as Amit celebrates this incredible milestone. Liz Klibanoff's going to join us. Plenty more coming up here at JM in the AM. We're live at Amit headquarters. You can watch everything that's happening on our website, NachumSegal.com, on the homepage. Go to NachumSegal.com. Right now, you can see all the proceedings right here at JM in the AM.
כולנו כאחד, כולנו כאחד. אחינו אבינו כולנו כאחד, כולנו כאחד. אחינו אבינו כולנו כאחד, כולנו כאחד. אחינו אבינו כולנו כאחד, כולנו כאחד. כולם ביחד יד ביד, כולם בלב אחד, כולם ביחד יד ביד, עם ישראל כאחד. כולם ביחד יד ביד, כולם בלב אחד, כולם ביחד יד ביד, עם ישראל כאחד. אחינו אבינו כולנו כאחד, כולנו 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 כאחד. כולם ביחד יד ביד, כולם בלב אחד, כולם ביחד יד ביד, עם ישראל כאחד. כולם ביחד יד ביד, כולם בלב אחד, כולם ביחד יד ביד, עם ישראל כאחד.
JM in the AM. Happy birthday, Amit. We're giving ZK a piece of 90th anniversary cake that he's enjoying behind the scenes. Want to thank those who are commenting on the app. One says, we love listening to you every morning. Can you wish Yaakov Shalom Van a happy 4th birthday? Happy birthday from all of us here at JM and the AM. He's 86 years away from being as old as Amit. When you call the Amit office, by the way, for the when you call the Amit office for the trip coming up May the 14th in Israel, you'll speak with Elena Goul. Elena Goul is the representative at the other end of the line at 212-792-5698 for Amit's mission starting May the 14th to Israel. It includes Yom Yerushalayim. 212-792-5698, and to take advantage of today's discount in celebration of Amit's 90th birthday here at JM in the AM, you go to amitchildren.org/Nachum, amitchildren.org/Nachum. Amit has an amazing social media presence as well, which we wanted to emphasize. In addition to the website at amitchildren.org, on Facebook, they're facebook.com/amit.children. On Twitter, twitter.com/tweet@Amit, which I love. The @ is the real word @ People still use that. Twitter.com/tweet@Amit. And on YouTube, they have their own channel. Go to youtube.com/user/AmitChildren. Speaking of videos, you can see everything right now if you go to the website at NachumSegal.com, you can see everything that's happening this morning. Liz Klibanoff is here helping us celebrate 90 years of Amit. She's Director of Financial Resource Development here at the organization and has an entire list of statistics and accomplishments, which will put some of the things in perspective this morning here at JM and the AM. Liz, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nachum. Great to be here.
I appreciate that. Happy birthday, Amit. So we've spoken about a couple of statistics already this morning in terms of just how vast the network of schools is, and the graduation or bagrut rate, which again was hovering in the 50s and 60% area and continues to grow, right?
Correct. Right now we're at 83% and looking towards the sky, because that's really what we're doing. We're able to move our students forward, pass the bagrut, and really impact on the future of Israel. And that's what we're really, really proud of.
And I'm sure you won't stop till it's 100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
80 would be fine for any other organization or any other people, but not us.
We're very visionary. We'll get there with a little bit more support. We'll get there very soon.
It's pretty amazing. What is the Ellen's Kids program?
Sure. So Ellen's Kids was a remarkable program that we launched this past year. It was named in memory of Ellen Kopla, one of our very most special lay leaders. And it's really the program that enables our students to pass the bagrut. So looking forward, giving them the tutorial hours, the marathon study sessions, we make sure that these kids have every single aspect that they need to pass those bagrut. And that's really their gateway to society in the future. As we know, if you don't pass the bagrut in Israel, you're not going to get into the army, you're not going to get into the university, you're not going to get the job that you need. And that's really where we're standing forward to make our students get there.
And it's appropriately named for Ellen because this was her mission?
Ellen was really a visionary. She cared about people. She really wanted people to do their best, and she was there to support them in every single way. And we were lucky enough to have the Kopla family who helped launch this program and to support it and really take it from where it is to the stars. So we're very excited.
We're used to it here that if a parent or a family wants to see their child succeed, they'll get them the tutors necessary, special programming, etc. Obviously, that's how Amit steps in this case.
Absolutely.
And just provides what's necessary. So that's Ellen's Kids. This was something that was dedicated at the gathering a few months ago.
Exactly, in September, and we were able to name it in her memory, Ellen's Kids.
Tell our audience about the alumni. We've spoken about some of these specific cases and people who have gone on to great positions in the Israeli army and in the business world in Israel, but we never really spoke sheer numbers. How many are we talking about now that have gone through the Amit school system?
We are so proud of the fact that we have hundreds of thousands of Amit graduates throughout Israel, and that's something that we feel we have an impact on society. Our students are in the army, are in fields of education, social welfare, whatever you can imagine, that's where our students are. And that's 100,000, and it's a ripple effect. What we do today really creates the future of tomorrow for Israel.
There's no
we're
question
there.
about it. And in every geographic region, as we keep emphasizing. It's everywhere in the entire state.
Absolutely. And as we know, 70% of our students come from the periphery,
right.
And 30% come from the center of the country. And we're there. We help to bolster these communities in the periphery where, they might not have the same resources that you have in Jerusalem or in Renana, in Sderot, in Kiryat Malachi. We're there, and we're the center for the community. And I think that's an important point to make for what we're doing for the state.
The stats are incredible, and as you said, obviously over 100,000 alumni at this point. One of the things I like to emphasize is that there are a lot of people on the ground responsible for this, because if you have hundreds of thousands of alumni, you need teachers, you need professionals that are really doing a good job at this.
Absolutely. We have a whole cadre of teachers and just all of our educational pedagogical group in Israel is really working on all levels to bring everything further. Also, what's really important is that 95% of our graduates go into the Army. That's something we're phenomenally proud of. In certain schools, it's 98%. In most schools, it's even 100%.
Right.
And I think that that's really, we're the future. We are making sure that every kid goes to the Army, and we're going to help them get into the right unit and do their job.
All right, if people continue to support Amit, these numbers can only go up because I would guess, I don't know if this is your area of expertise, but I would guess that there's always prospects of opening new schools, more programs, expanding those that exist already, right?
Absolutely. Sometimes there's even a waiting list for schools that want to get into the Amit network, but we have to make sure we have the resources so that we can give the right attention and the right teachers to these areas. I think it's also important that in certain areas we have partnerships with the Army. The Army comes to our schools. For instance, in Jerusalem, in our Nordlicht Technological School, we have a special partnership with the Army. Our kids learn how to repair the tanks, which is a very needed commodity in Israel to do for the Army. We have a special partnership. They'll come and they'll recruit.
And the Israeli army, if it's strong, then we know that the state of Israel is strong. And the Amit system, the Amit educational system, has certainly provided a tremendous number of professional staff for the army, and as you just said, other positions as well, whether it be mechanics, etc. Liz Klivanoff is Director of Financial Resource Development at Amit, encouraging everybody to participate and be part of this incredible system. Anything else to add?
Just please join us on our mission. If you really want to see the magic of Amit, come join us, meet our students, meet our graduates, and really feel that we are moving Israel forward, and we want you to be a part of it. So join us.
We've been talking about statistics. They will meet thousands of students on that trip.
Absolutely.
And they will have hundreds of great moments of fun, right?
And more, and more. So
That's
join
for sure.
us.
The trip happens on May the 14th. We've been asking everybody to take advantage of today's special by going to amitchildren.org/Nachum for the special discount on Amit's 90th anniversary trip to Israel. You could also speak to Elena at 212-792-5698, 212-792-5698. Amit on Facebook is facebook.com/Amit.children, right? Amit.children, facebook.com/Amit.children, and you can be up to date on everything that they are announcing to the world by heading to the Facebook page and being part, liking the page and being part of their, and making sure that that's part of your news feed. More coming up from our 90th anniversary celebration at Amit. This is America's one and only Jewish Moments in the Morning radio program, heard on listeners-sponsored WFMU East Orange, WMFU Mount Hope, Rockland County at 91.9 on the FM dial, around the world on the web, jmandtheam.org.
והמליכו ויאמרו, אוידו והמליכו ויאמרו, יחד כולם אוידו והמליכו ויאמרו, אוידו והמליכו ויאמרו, יחד כולם אוידו והמליכו ויאמרו, אוידו והמליכו ויאמרו, יחד כולם אוידו והמליכו ויאמרו, אוידו והמליכו ויאמרו.
JM in the AM. We are celebrating Amit's 90th birthday. Imagine that, 90 years and going strong, stronger than ever, in fact. A great morning so far with incredible people here at Amit's headquarters in New York City. We invite you to check out the Amit 90th anniversary celebration trip to Israel, which is happening starting on May the 14th. Go to amitchildren.org/Nachum for today's big special. That's amitchildren.org. /Nachum for the special. You can speak with Elena at 212-792-5698. That's 212-792-5698 for information. And we thank everybody for tuning in, commenting on the app at the NSN app, both for Android and iPhone. We thank you for that. And, of course, the social media resources for Amit are as strong as ever. Go to facebook.com/amit.children for information about everything that's happening here at Amit. In front of us are Susan Myers, Director of Development here at Amit. Good morning to you, Susan.
Good morning.
And Debbie Moed, who is Vice President and chaired the Financial Resource Development here at Amit. Debbie, welcome to JMAM as well.
Thank you.
Good morning to both of you. Susan, we'll start with you. Tell us about the special programs that Amit has and how people out there can be involved in these programs to help Amit's children.
So our sustaining budgetary requirements come from our cadre of our most committed donors. And those donors are our President's Circle donors. And that level of giving begins at the $5,000 level. And those people enable us to produce all of the programs that we do in Israel. And they sustain our budget on an annual basis. It also allows us to respond to our needs that we have quickly. For example, during the summer, during the war, we were able to reach out to students and provide them with psychological counseling because of these funds that we receive from these committed donors.
I hope I'm sorry.
We're so fortunate to have these people.
Well, I was going to say, I hope the President's Circle continues to grow and get bigger and bigger.
We hope so as well, and we continue to work on that. And we're fortunate to have lay leaders and donors like Debbie Moed, who is one of our President's Circle members and has been involved for many years in Amit.
So you're a real insider, Debbie. You're in the President's Circle.
Yes, I am.
For how long?
Well, it was a number of years ago that my husband Sam and I became members. The turning point for us was really going on a mission. I actually went on the first New Generation mission more than 10 years ago, and just seeing the vital work that we do in Israel firsthand was definitely something that motivated me to become more involved.
This is a point that it seems to me I've been making this point for every day for over 30 years. When you see it and it's in front of you, it makes such an impact, and deservedly so. It really turns people onto the cause, and it's like that across the board with all the different organizations, all the great work that's being done out there. And when you went and you saw everything in action, it just came to life for you.
Absolutely.
It's just amazing how what kind of effect that has on people. And this is an invitation that you, Susan, would give to anybody out there, that when you're in Israel, right, for any cause or for any reason, come and see one of the schools and look around.
Absolutely. We would welcome anybody who comes to Israel on vacation with their families or by themselves to come see some of the schools and facilities that we have in Israel. It's remarkable. I mean, the work that Amit is doing, I feel fortunate to be part of this Amit family and to be part of this organization. And I think that anyone who sees the work that we do in Israel and that our committed staff and principals and faculty members do in Israel will never turn away and not be involved in this wonderful organization and what we do.
It would be nice if at least one person out there became a member of the President's Circle today because of today's show. So if they want to be in touch with you directly, you welcome it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Susan Myers is ready to speak to you if you want to become a member of the President's Circle here at Amit. It is a very worthy cause, as we've been outlining for you. And if you want to wait till you actually see everything in action in Israel, you could join them for the May trip, or at any point that you're in Israel, you are cordially invited to come and see one of the schools. Tell me about the Chai Society.
Chai Society is also part of our sustaining group of donors, and that level begins at $1,800. And for somebody who wants to first become involved, they can also become involved and attend some of our events and see the work we do. And then if they want to put their feet in the water and get involved at that level, we would welcome that. Absolutely. That's also part of our sustaining funding for the schools in Israel. Provides textbooks and clothing for some of our kids and food for some of of our students, and that is a very important part of our budget as well.
You know, we haven't said this enough this morning, and it's such an important point. We've been concentrating, rightfully so, on the incredible schools, the staff, the infrastructure, etc. But there are basic needs, including for kids who really don't have parental supervision at all and are being taken care of by Amit staff, basic needs that need to be taken care of, and those resources are used for that purpose.
Absolutely. I mean, we have students that come to school during the course of the day. They receive breakfast, they receive lunch, they receive dinner.
Right.
This is something we often provide them discreetly as well, so as not to embarrass them among their peers. But many of the students don't have the basic needs at home, and we provide that for them.
Yeah. Another opportunity just to mention how remarkable it is when these children achieve what they achieve. They're coming from no support system in many cases, really, everything going against them, so to speak, statistically and practically, everything working against them, and they're able to make it the way they do. It's really amazing. Both Susan Myers and Debbie Moade here as we celebrate Amit's 90th anniversary celebration. And we have a relationship with the Inbal, so this is nice to mention here. What is the Inbal Visitor Center, Debbie?
Well, we are very, very happy that we have an office in the Inbal to make it very convenient for visitors to just drop in. We have a number of tours that we can interest people on for however much time that they have. We're happy to provide them with an activity for their families, for themselves, to really get, again, firsthand views of what we're doing.
All right, so what happens when someone's staying in Jerusalem, and specifically at the Inbal, they'll find someone at a Amit desk to...
We have an actual office there.
Literally, an office. They could walk
right
in,
near the shops.
Make a one-day excursion or whatever number of hours they have.
If you have a few hours, that's perfect too.
And you'll take care of them and make sure they see what they need to see. Oh, when you're in the Inbal, and this is the timing couldn't be better. There are going to be a lot of people in the Inbal starting this Thursday. This is Yeshiva break, and there are a lot of people heading to Israel this week. So let's emphasize this. If you are in the Inbal or its surrounding areas, in Jerusalem starting this coming Thursday or next week, because there are going to be so many of our listeners traveling during Yeshiva break, walk into the Inbal Visitors Center, which is actually an office in the shop area, I guess we'd call it, of the Inbal Hotel, and they could arrange for a one-day tour or whatever number of days you want to spend with them, and you could actually see the schools up close and personal. Susan, anything else you want to add?
No, I think you've covered it, but I would welcome again anyone who's visiting Israel to give us half a day, a few hours. The work of Amit is just so inspirational. I think anyone listening to your radio station would be inspired by what we do in seeing our schools and meeting our students.
Yeah, there's no question, both for us in the work we do and so many people in the community, when you see it, it makes all the difference in the world. Susan Myers is Director of Development here at Amit. And Debbie Moade, anything else you want to mention?
Well, I'd just like to tell you a few words about Midreshet Amit,
Please.
since it was touched on before.
Sure.
But this is something I feel very proud of because I've been involved since its inception. This is already our 8th year. It's an opportunity for girls who are doing their gap year in Israel, who want to be in a seminary, but who really want to engage in high-level Torah learning along with very meaningful daily chesed work, to come to Bet HaYeled, which is our surrogate family home in Gilo. They live in the same building with the kids, and they form very strong bonds between not only each girl is assigned to a specific family, and they form very strong bonds with the kids and also with the zug, with the surrogate family couple who commit to a minimum of 2 years to really take care of these kids like their own.
Again, the timing cannot be better. How many young ladies out there are considering what to do next year in Israel?
Absolutely.
And there are lists and lists of places where people can go and enjoy their gap year after high school. Midreshet Amit, again, something I learned about first when I went to the Amit event in September. Midreshet Amit is an amazing choice, and as you just said, it has that added component of really helping out with the kids and making it a really special experience.
Yeah, the motto of the school is live Torah, live Chesed, live Israel, and they really encourage the girls to do this under the leadership of Ilana Gottlieb, who's our amazing director. The girls are coming from all over the U.S., from London. They are heading to universities around the country, and we have very high-level classes to appeal to those girls who are really interested in learning, don't want to compromise their learning, and we have something really for every level.
How do people get information, Midreshet Amit? Is the Amit office the best way? Yeah, Amit office, same phone number? Call that phone number if you're interested as a 12th grader, or if you're a parent of a 12th grader and interested in exploring Midreshet Amit. It's an amazing choice, and they're at area code 212-792-5698, 212-792-5698. You can check it out and make it part of your exploration of what to do next year in the Holy Land. I thank you both, Susan Myers and Debbie Moe. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
And happy 90th Amit. If you're watching from around the world, I thank you for tuning in and being part of this amazing radio show. You can see the whole program right now at NachumSegal.com, and obviously later on it'll be available in video form, audio form. We've got all the archives for you. You'll be able to listen in and hear anything you may have missed so far this morning. Ina Tropper joins us next. Plenty more coming up. Keep it here on a JM in the AM Tuesday, live from Amit as we celebrate 90 years at JM in the AM.
כן יעבוד עם המשמשים מסורב על מנס לקבל פרס אל תהיו כן יעבוד עם המשמשים מסורב על מנס לקבל פרס אל תהיו כן יעבוד עם המשמשים מסורב על מנס לקבל פרס אל תהיו כן יעבוד עם המשמשים מסורב על מנס לקבל פרס לא יעבוד, לא יעבוד אודום לא יעבוד אודום בספוירו אלו מאהבו אלו מאהבו בלבוד לא יעבוד, לא יעבוד אודום לא יעבוד אודום בספוירו משמשים מסורב על מנס לקבל פרס אל תהיו כן יעבוד עם המשמשים מסורב על מנס לקבל פרס אל תהיו כן יעבוד עם המשמשים מסורב על מנס לקבל פרס אל תהיו כן יעבוד עם המשמשים מסורב על מנס לקבל פרס לא יעבוד, לא יעבוד אודו לא יעבוד אודו בספוירו אלו מאהבו אלו מאהבו בלבו לא יעבוד, לא יעבוד אודו לא יעבוד אודו בספוירו אלו מאהבו אלו
Yaakov Shweki, of course. Great music on a JM AM Tuesday as we celebrate 90 years of Amit. The big 90th anniversary celebration trip to Israel happens in May. You know about the website. It's amitchildren.org/Nachum, amitchildren.org/Nachum, and of course 212-792-5698, 212-792-5698. Any information you need. We talked about the President's Circle earlier, the Chai Society, other opportunities to be involved with Amit, or information about the trip for Israel coming up in May, 212-792-5698. Ina Tropper is here, a member, actually chairperson of the board of directors of Amit, and I will mention as I introduce her, for the old Newark people out there, she's a member of the Englander family from the Weequake section of Newark and remembers the young Israel of Newark quite fondly, and I appreciate that very much. Welcome to JM in the AM.
Thank you. We're delighted to have this opportunity.
I appreciate that, and happy anniversary to Amit, 90 years strong. Imagine that. A 90-year-old going strong. Congratulations, Amit. Even though it's 90 years old at this point, you're always looking toward the next generation. You're always looking toward the future. Very essential to the Jewish people to look toward the future. And in Amit's case, you have a couple of programs that are worth pointing out. One is, in fact, called New Gen, standing for New Generation. Tell us about this program.
Okay. New Gen is, do you mind if I begin with AFLI? Okay.
AFLI stands for the Amit Future Leaders Initiative.
Okay. The reason I want to begin with AFLI is because it really grows out of our Midreshet Amit that we spoke of before.
Right.
We have these young women who are coming to Israel, spend a year at Midreshet Amit, and learn a lot about what Amit does, not only in Beit HaYeled where they are, but in the entire country. They come back very fired up. We formed this AFLI group, which is basically college students, college age. It's not campus-based. It's colleges throughout the metropolitan area. They get together. They have their own board. They choose what they'd like to do. Incidentally, they raise money, but the purpose really is to get them together, to keep the Amit message alive, to have them grow up with it. And they bring in lots of their friends and lots of people, and it's been highly successful. They have an education program where they have a shiur or a lecture. They have a very interesting entrepreneurial evening where they bring successful young entrepreneurs together, and they have a panel discussion, and they're wonderful mentors for these kids. They do quite a number of things. They choose their own events. They work with a wonderful young woman in the office, Amy Oppenheim, and they, together with Amy, they decide what they want to do, how they want to do it, where they want to do it. It's been very successful, and I have to say that we've been approached, both for AFLI and New Gen, by other organizations who are concerned about the future, as every organization is. If we got to 90 years, we certainly want at least another 90, if not more. And so that we've been successful at doing this, thank God.
Sometimes it's hard to motivate young leadership, but it sounds like you're talking about a group that's really motivated.
Very motivated. These girls come back highly motivated, and they're the nucleus. However, AFLI is co-ed. They have a very good Yom HaAtzmaut program, and it's so successful that no young organization plans anything for Erev Yom HaAtzmaut because they know everyone's going to the Amit AFLI program.
Now you know you've made it. When the calendar, they won't even think of putting an event on the calendar because they know about Amit's program.
Right.
That's cool.
Right. Now, after they outgrow that, so to speak, and they've graduated and they're into careers or young people, 20s, 30s, that's where they move into a young leadership program. Right. And it's, wherever they're comfortable, and that's a co-ed as well. Right. And then they start to get married, settle down, and that's where New Gen comes in. Of course, everyone goes where he's comfortable, but New Generation is where we get many of our leaders eventually, and people who are on our board. Debbie Isaac comes out of that, our president, Debbie Moed, and that New Generation has their own board, and they bring in a lot of people just through getting them to go to Israel, which, you see, if we can send everybody to Israel, we don't have to get on your program. We just have, everyone would join. It would be part of their life growing up.
They would be amazed at what they see there.
Absolutely. And once you're there, it's so heartwarming, and we see what we're doing for the country and what we're doing for these individual children. I just want to mention that, as an aside, we have teachers who, when there's no school or there's a bomb scare or there's a reason that a child doesn't come to school, they go to their home. They'll find out what the problem is, because it could be that the child doesn't have shoes to wear that day, which happened. He shares shoes with a sibling, and that was the sibling's day to come to school. So we don't assume the child is sick. We bring home the work. We speak to the parents. We make sure there's food in the refrigerator. So really servicing the family as well as the child.
Yeah, this is such an important point, and mentioned it briefly earlier, but sometimes families need basic resources. It's not just, building a network and maintaining it of great schools, but also sometimes families and individual children who may not even have a family need basic resources to survive.
Yeah.
And you're there to step in for
Many
that.
people fall through the cracks. And new generation is already fired up and is really the future. And they move into the leadership positions. They come onto the board of directors, and they're very important to us. That's our source.
Ina Tropper is here, Board of Directors chairperson here at Amit. We're talking about the future. We're talking about those who might be in their 20s, 30s, and beyond who want to be involved in the Amit Future Leaders Initiative or New Gen. It's a golden opportunity to become involved in a great organization, one that has a tremendous infrastructure and would welcome more youthful people to come in, and even more youthful people to come in and influence the activities of the organization. Information about all this, I guess people could just be in touch with the Amit office, right, if they want to get involved.
Absolutely. Call Elena.
Call Elena at 212-792-5698, and you can be involved. And there's no reason to think that you have to have gone to Amit's program in Israel, or that you're familiar with it already. If you're off the street and you just want to be involved in a great organization, you can call up and become part of the Future Leaders Initiative. And it must be heartwarming to see how many young people do get involved and really benefit from it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're moving, New Gen is moving across the country. We're beginning it in other cities where we are, Philadelphia, Silver Spring, Los Angeles, Florida, Chicago, so that we want to copy that model. And it's very successful.
Make it a real national cause for the international work that's being done by Amit on a daily basis. Ina Tropper is here. Anything else you'd like to add on this topic?
I'd like you to go see our schools.
I'd like to see them, and I'm glad you mentioned that. And there must be plenty that I could see, because no matter where in Israel I'm visiting, there are schools. That's one thing we've determined this morning.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere in Israel without seeing an Amit school at some place.
That's true.
I look forward to seeing the Amit schools and for seeing up close and personal the work they're doing on a daily basis. And I thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Ina Tropper is here in our makeshift studio at Amit. I thank her. She's chairperson of the board of directors. Great job this morning talking about the difference that one can make even at a younger age for a wonderful organization like Amit. I want to take this opportunity, speaking of young people, there's nothing like a simcha where you know both sides of the family and you're going to be participating with both sides. Tonight, the Lashinsky and Orlean families have the big wedding going on in Brooklyn, New York. Mazal tov to Michal Lashinsky, daughter of Frida and Yogi Lashinsky, and to Shalom Orlean, son of Aviva and Moshe Orlean, a Brooklyn Monsey wedding. Both communities will be very, very well represented, that I can guarantee you. And a special, speaking of generations, a special shout out to all the Lashinskys and the Orleans out there. There are many of them who we'll see tonight and celebrate with. We know them for quite a long time, and we can't wait to celebrate the big event tonight. So Mazal Tov to the Lashinskys and the Orleans from all of us here at JM in the AM. Francine Stein is here, past national president of Amit, now a board member and somebody who is very anxious to have as many people as possible celebrate with Amit at the 90th anniversary celebration in Israel. It's one thing to celebrate here and celebrate with JM in the AM, but she wants to make sure that everyone's celebrating in the Holy Land starting on May the 14th. You will have an opportunity to visit students in schools, to see Amit's incredible operation and network in action, to have some fun as well, of course, and to celebrate Yom Yerushalayim at the Kotel Plaza in Jerusalem. It all starts May the 14th. You could speak with Elena about the tour, about the trip at area code 212-792-5698, 212-792-5698. Go to amitchildren.org/Nachum for information about the trip, amitchildren.org/Nachum. amitchildren.org/Nachum. That's a special promo link that is being used today for anybody who wants to save money on the trip. amitchildren.org/Nachum. Francine Stein, welcome to JM in the AM.
Thank you. It's really a privilege and a pleasure to be here after listening to you for so many years.
I appreciate that very much.
It's really an honor.
How do you look at your years as national president? Do you look back and say?
I look at them as a real privilege to have been able to serve this organization and to lead this organization of so many people who are committed and who love Israel and love the work that we do. And I think that it was to be on the inside firsthand was something, and as experience I will really cherish.
And somebody in your position as national president at that time, I'm sure you saw and felt just how appreciative the government of Israel and the people of Israel in general are for Amit and what they do in Israel.
Everywhere we went, we had expressions of gratitude. People were so impressed with the work we do. The government especially looks upon us as a real partner in the work that they do. And unfortunately, people say to us all the time, why can't the government take care of education? And we say, well, they can take care of the very, very basic needs. But in order to really have an excellent education system, the government needs help of partners. And we are one of their strongest partners at this point.
No question about it. This is one of the things that people will realize when they travel with you to Israel in May. They will see this all in action.
Right. So I'm really hoping that as many people will come on this mission. I'm sharing the mission and the 90th anniversary celebration. I have some of the itinerary highlights here that I'd love to share with you. We're going to be arriving in Israel on Thursday, May 14th, and we will be received by President Ruby Rivlin at his home for a reception, as well as a dinner following that with some dignitaries. We will be staying at the Inbal Hotel, and we will be traveling to some of our other schools. We will be celebrating Yom Yerushalayim first on Motzei Shabbat in a private reception overlooking the Kotel and in a private home in a balcony. The next day we will be joined. We will join the statewide celebration at the Kotel. We will be spending Shabbat in Jerusalem, and we will be joined by Dr. Daniel Gordis, as well as children from the Chavruta Yeshiva, which is our Bienenfeld Chavruta Yeshiva, which is in Ranana. That yeshiva is a very special place, as all of our schools are very special. I can't say one is more special than the other, but the Bienenfeld Yeshiva is a place where young men who can't make it in a yeshiva system, but still want a yeshiva atmosphere learn. But we have very specialized programs where we have a music program, a band program, a nature program, a horse program, so these young men can find their way and still learn and excel in something.
Amazing.
So the choir from that school will be joining us for Shabbat. For our foodies, we have a cupcake wars. And we will also have something called the L'Oreal Experience. We have a connection with the L'Oreal company, and they will be doing a hands-on cosmetic and makeup demonstration in one of our schools. And those are just some. We'll also have actually something called the Amazing Race, segways through Yerushalayim, the streets of Yerushalayim, and zip lines, and all for those adventurers among us. And I think, all of these things are lots of fun, and I think that you will enable us to do a different kind of mission, but all of our Amit missions are special. And of course, in addition to all of these fun non-Amit things, we will be visiting many of our schools, our facilities. We'll be visiting the Frisch Beit Hayeled Child Haven, which is our home for foster children, where they live. We've heard about that throughout the morning. We'll also be visiting our Kfar Bacha in Ranana. And Kfar Bacha is an unusual place. It has evolved over the years. In its early years, it started out as a home for children who came here by themselves post-Holocaust, and they were given ways to learn a vocation and a trade. It's now, the schools that are on the campus now are actually higher level schools. The Gwen Strauss School, which is a high level technology and science yeshiva, where the boys have a high level yeshiva learning as well as science and technology. On the campus also is a school for social justice and law. So there are two tracks. As you say, we've been hearing all about some of the lower programs that we do for the more disadvantaged kids. But we also have these programs for more advanced, more intelligent, more capable students.
There's not going to be any downtime on this trip.
No, not
That's
at all.
Sure.
Not at
People
all.
shouldn't worry. Every minute's accounted for.
And what's nice about, and really unusual about Kfar Bacha, is in the coming years, we are developing a teacher training program and an educational training program that will be on that campus as well. And because we are innovators in education, and we really believe that the future of Israel rests on educating its youngsters. And in order to do that, we have to train our teachers properly.
Well, talk about next gen. What's more important than training teachers for tomorrow? That's for sure. Francine Stein is chairing the big celebration and the 90th anniversary mission to Israel starting on May the 14th. We're recommending to everybody to head to the web at amitchildren.org/Nachum, amitchildren.org/Nachum, or call the number at area code 212-792-5698. Again, that's 212-792-5698. I saw in the announcement that you'll be meeting with IDF top female fighter pilots. Any of them graduates of Amit?
I don't think so. No, unfortunately
but it could
not.
be, right?
One day we will have graduates of Amit in that program.
It is amazing that no matter what area of Jewish life you get into in Israel, you're going to meet Amit graduates who have gotten to some amazing levels. The anniversary celebration in Israel goes from May the 14th through the 19th, and with all the things you mentioned, and there are some amazing
and that's only part of that.
Yeah, I know. And there are amazing things that you're going to be doing in the schools. As you write here, it's an amazing opportunity for the largest birthday party in Israel's history as you celebrate Amit's 90th. But celebrating Yom Yerushalayim in Yerushalayim, for people who've never done it, there could be people in this audience who've gone to Israel 20 times and have never been there for Yom Yerushalayim. It's really an incredible experience, and you feel the real community being there for that. So for that alone, there's plenty of other things, but for that alone, people should consider going on this trip.
Every one of our missions is a unique opportunity to see Israel firsthand, to see the work we do firsthand. And as many times as I've been there and as many times as I go, I come back more inspired each time. And this mission will really give us the opportunity to see Israel and Amit in a different way than we've ever done, and give anyone who joins us an opportunity to do things that they would not do if they were just going to Israel by themselves.
All right. Like we say, no downtime. You'll have excuse me, I'll have plenty to do.
I hope you join us.
You never know. You never know where we'll be in May. Bezrat Hashem. I'd like to be in Israel as often as possible. Go to the website, amitchildren.org/Nachum, and you can get today's special discount. That's in honor of JM and the AM. They have put up a special discount for the Yom Yerushalayim mission. You could be part of it, and you could save some money by going to amitchildren.org/Nachum or by dialing 212-792-5698, 212-792-5698. Francine Stein will chair the 90th anniversary mission. We wish you good luck with that.
Thank you very much. I would just also like to add, I wear many hats, and one of them is representing Amit at the World Zionist Organization. And I would just like to let everybody know that the World Zionist Congress is going to be next October in Israel, October 22nd to the 24th. And the elections will be starting, they're supposed to start tomorrow, but I think their website will be open on January 14th. And Amit will have a link to that website in order to vote, and it's very important for us as a Jewish community to get out and vote. Our slate is votetorah.org, so we would like to make sure that everybody takes part in that elections. You'll have time to vote, but please vote as early as possible.
I'm glad you mentioned that, and we will be speaking about votetorah.org next week. You can imagine that this audience is going to be very active on that slate, so to speak, and obviously, as you just said, Amit is part of it. You should be proud of that. And this happens every 4 years. People may not realize exactly how it works, but we'll explain it all to them when we go into depth on the issue. It's votetorah.org, and Amit is part of it. Francine, thank you, and good luck with the mission, and happy anniversary.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us, and thank you for being here and coming to our headquarters to do this.
I appreciate that. It's great being here. More coming up, including Debbie Isaac and Andy Goldsmith, who are going to wrap things up for us and really sum up the entire morning. A very special morning here at JM and the AM as we continue at 91.1 FM, 90.1 FM in the Catskills, Rockland County at 91.9 in the FM dial. Around the world on the web, jmandtheam.org, and a special hello to those listening on the NSN app.
kamoicha b'leilim Hashem mi kamoicha nedar b'hakodesh Nairasi loisai seifele Nairasi loisai seifele
Mi kamoicha b'leilim Hashem mi kamoicha nedar b'hakodesh Nairasi loisai seifele Nairasi loisai seifele
Shira chadasha shir b'chogilim L'shimcha hagadol al sfas hayom Yachad kulam hayidu v'hilichu v'yamiru
Shira chadasha shir b'chogilim L'shimcha hagadol al sfas hayom
Micha b'leilim Hashem Mi kamoicha nedar b'hakodesh Nairasi loisai seifele Nairasi loisai seifele Mi kamoicha b'leilim Hashem Mi kamoicha nedar b'hakodesh Nairasi loisai seifele Nairasi loisai seifele Shira chadasha שבחוגיות לשמך הגדול על שפת הים יחד כולם הידו והמליכו ויאמרו שירה חדשה שבחוגיות לשמך הגדול על שפת הים חדשה שבחוגיות לשמך הגדול על שפת הים יחד כולם הידו והמליכו ויאמרו שירה חדשה שבחוגיות לשמך הגדול על שפת הים
JM in the AM, that's from Shalshelis here on a Tuesday morning. I want to thank all of our special guests this morning. We've learned a tremendous amount about Amit's work, encouraging people to visit Israel, which is always an extra bonus. And in this case, the May trip celebrating Amit's 90th anniversary is an amazing opportunity. Check it out. I want to thank some of the people who were very instrumental in helping out in this morning's show, including Ethan Segal, no relation. I want to thank Stan in our studio, Danny Goldberg here doing our social media, ZK, of course, behind the microphone and the board, and our very own Miriam L. Wallach, who is producing yet another stellar radio broadcast. And we thank her, and thanks for watching around the world on our NachumSegal.com website. Debbie Isaac, as we introduced her earlier, as president of Amit, very proud to be president for the last 4 years, and she is with us again. And Andy Goldsmith, who's executive vice president here at Amit. And one of the things, Andy, I wanted to mention that I learned again this morning, I've been in the Inbal many times, and so many of our listeners are going to be going there this week to visit Jerusalem and be at the Inbal Hotel. They should take advantage of the Visitors Center, which is really a remarkable resource for people who want to get around and see the sights of Israel and check out your schools.
Well, absolutely. We came to the obvious realization that many of our supporters visit Israel. They visit it once, 2, even 3 times a year. And we wanted to give them the opportunity not just to visit Israel, but to experience Israel. So we put together a series of half-day and full-day experiences. When people go to Israel, they're looking for things to do beyond what they've already done, beyond the simple. So you can go to one of our Amit vocational schools where we have a cooking track, and you'll walk into a classroom where there'll be 12 mini kitchens, and you'll sit opposite an 11th or 12th grader, and you'll make a high-end dessert together with them. So you get to see what Israel's youth, what they're studying with them. You get to interact with an Israeli kid. You get to hear from them what it's like. You get to see the program, and you get to taste something delicious at the end of the program. So
it's like a culinary lab.
It's extraordinary. And so if anyone is going to Israel, anyone planning a trip to Israel, call our office here, or call or speak to our people in Israel. Just walk into the Inbal Center. It's staffed. We'd love to show you. If you've been a supporter, if you're interested in learning more about us, it's a wonderful portal of entry into the world of Amit.
And I know I'm belaboring the point, but this is perfect timing because a lot of people are leaving tomorrow for Israel. Yeshiva break starts essentially after school tomorrow. And this coming Thursday and later this week, and obviously next week, there'll be a lot of visitors from our listening audience in Jerusalem. Hopefully all of them listening on the NSN app, but certainly walking into the Inbal Visitor Center for Amit there off the lobby. All right, so that's one of the things we learned today. And Debbie, I know you're encouraging everybody to be part of this May mission and really celebrate the 90th anniversary together. Anything you want to add about encouraging people to come and be part of it in Jerusalem this coming May 14th?
Yeah, well, it's certainly I encourage people to come on our mission. Anytime you can see our schools in their natural environment, there's nothing we can say or show you here that comes close to it. And for example, even my own experiences, and I go visit the schools very often, but for example, walking into our Wasserman School in Beersheba, which has 1,300 students in it, and you see kibbutz galiot in the flesh. So you could have been learning in school for so many years about what that means, but without seeing it firsthand, you don't have that sense. And again, you talk about going as a tourist to Israel, but this is not going as a tourist. This is seeing Israel in its natural state, and we can take you on that, as Andy said, if you go to our Inbal office and make an arrangement, or call us here in New York. But, I'm always amazed. I go into a school like that in Beersheba and I see, children from all over the world, and we're educating them at every level there. Again, 1,300 students there.
We mentioned all the different aliyot this morning, so you're not kidding when it comes to Jews from Ethiopia, Russia, obviously now France we mentioned, and God knows wherever else, plus Israel. You're going to see all of this in the different schools.
100%. I mean, for example, we now have new schools of ours, new in the sense that they've joined our network in the last couple of years in Ashdod, for example. One of our schools, Ashdod Yud, which is led by a principal who, by the way, was fighting in Gaza this summer and had to open up his school while he was fighting. He actually lost a student, a former student who was fighting there, unfortunately. But in Ashdod, we already have many French students who are coming now on this latest Aliyah, and we need to be ready for them, and we are. And Ashdod Yud, since it's joined the Amit network, has gone from a school that was okay to a school that is amazing. The programs that are happening there are unbelievable, and if you ask the principal, which we have, it's because he has had the support of our headquarters staff, and we thank them. We have a full staff in Israel, in Petach Tikva that runs all of our schools, and it's an amazing thing to see these things happening before you when you visit. So I encourage people to do that because it's an experience of Israel you wouldn't otherwise get.
I'm glad that we spent a lot more time this morning speaking about the present and future than the past. Not that the war last summer is not a worthy topic. It is, and we've spent so many hours on this program speaking about it, and I'm sure that your schools, even during the summer, had to leap into action in those areas of Israel to give whatever support was necessary for the kids and families there.
Yes, in fact, I had a very interesting experience right after the war was over. In fact, the day after the ceasefire was put into place, I was in Israel to open the schools. Actually, Bibi Netanyahu was with me in Sderot opening one of our schools on the very first day. And after that, I met with the principals of all our schools from the south.
That was a well-known photo that went around of him visiting that school. Right?
Yes.
Many people saw that, I'm sure.
Yes, in fact, it was on the cover of one of our magazines as well. It was a great photo. Lots of children around us, which was what's so lovely about it. But interesting, we speak to the principals who, again, several of them were serving in Gaza at the time, but right afterwards, what was the most important thing to do? Here were children who had no summer vacation. What did we need to do for them? We needed to give them an outlet. We immediately gave all of those children an outlet, but we could do that because we have supporters in the United States who give us the funding that allow us to leap into action at that moment and to help those kids. Psychologically, very difficult for the kids, for the staff. Our staff needed support as well at that time. So these are important things that unfortunately shouldn't always be for crisis, but we're there.
No question about it. Look, everyone knows that if they want to go ahead and support a cause that's out there on the front lines in that type of situation, or as you would say, or maybe in a more normal type of situation, Amit is there for everybody. Andy Goldsmith, the best way to stay in touch with Amit, we've been mentioning the phone number, we've been mentioning the website. Those are, in fact, great ways. AmitChildren.org. That's one way. Facebook page is active. People can see photos and be updated on what's happening if they have it in their news feed, right?
Absolutely. Be part of the Amit family. Connect with us through any way you wish, through social media, through email. Give us a call. We always look at the Amit network as members of our family. I can't tell you how many times when I'm traveling, someone will hear us and say, I'm not right now an Amit member, but my mother was, or my grandmother was, or my great-grandmother was. We have 4 generations involved in Amit, and what happens is people are drawn into it. But once they learn what we do and they see the impact we have, they're with us for the long haul.
90 years, you have a lot of people coming through the door.
That's right.
No question about it. And as we said earlier, it goes from the pre-state of Israel when it was still Palestine, and your founders recognized the need at that time for the Jewish communities of Palestine to have a strong educational system, and that would be the foundation and the backbone for the future Jewish community of Israel. And then, of course, the State of Israel was founded in 1948, and with the government of Israel, you become incredible partners to create a network which is to be admired. Everybody out there, one more time, the trip is May the 14th. AmitChildren.org/Nachum. Phone number at 212-792-5698. Anybody interested in Midreshet Amit, you can call that phone number, Midreshet Amit. Obviously, this is the time of year that young ladies are deciding with their parents what the future will bring. That is a great option. Anybody visiting Israel over the next few days, and it is many, I think the Inbal itself has missions of hundreds and hundreds of people who are going to be there this week that are listeners of ours. So make sure to join with Amit through their visitor center at the Inbal Hotel. Whether you're staying at the Inbal or not, you could use the visitor center, and they'll set you up on a tour to see what's going on at the Amit schools. And a special discount today for those of you who want to register for the trip starting the 14th of May and spend Yom Yerushalayim with Amit in Jerusalem. It's AmitChildren.org/Nachum, AmitChildren.org/Nachum. Andy Goldsmith, I thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much, Nachum.
A pleasure, and continued good luck. You're doing amazing things here, and your enthusiasm is to be admired. And your passion for the cause is to be admired. And Debbie Isaac, speaking of passion for the cause, you are to be admired as well. Continue, you and your board and everybody who's working so hard as lay leaders in the community and as lay leaders for Amit to continue to make a difference in the state of Israel.
Thank you, and we thank you very much for this opportunity for broadcasting from our offices here.
Pleasure.
And we love to have the chance to tell everybody about what we're doing.
And you've had a great opportunity today, and have really outlined for everybody how incredible an organization it is. Thank you, Debbie. National President of Amit, Debbie Isaac. I thank her, and I thank all of the wonderful people who greeted us here this morning and who gave us an incredible update on Amit's activities in the state of Israel. We'll go to a bit of music, and then our closing words coming up from Amit headquarters in New York City. A big thank you. Oh, Ethan is here. I wasn't sure if Ethan would actually join us on air or not. Ethan Segal, no relation. Why I keep saying that, I don't know, but I don't want people to think that, oh, yeah, he is tall. He could pass as a Segal. But we are, in fact, not related. But Ethan is the Director of Marketing here at Amit. And first of all, thank you. Thank you for having us here and for hosting us.
Thank you. No, it's a pleasure to have you here, and really appreciate the wonderful broadcast and sending the message of Amit to the entire world. This is a big deal for us.
When we were together, and it was September, right? When Amit
it was actually November.
Was it November?
That's okay. But that,
yeah, September, November. When we were together in November, Amit had a beautiful Broadway evening. That was stunning. Mm-hmm. It was really an incredible evening, and I was there. And you said you are going to see a cross section of our community like you've never seen before, and that's the feeling I got. I got the feeling that just people who are, from right to left, up and down, as we like to say, were together for a good cause, supporting something that obviously has an unbelievable track record over 90 years. And anybody who has an opportunity to see it live and in action in Israel should certainly, but if not, then get involved here.
Absolutely. As you heard today, there are many different avenues to get involved with Amit. Whether someone who's younger wants to get involved with events. Afli had a flag football event recently, which was very well attended. There's events for the new gen group. There's events for people of all ages who are looking into, who are supportive of Israel, who want to help mold the future of Israel. And there's really no other way to make it a tremendous impact than to get involved with Amit. I mean, it should be also mentioned that Amit is actually the only reshet, the only network that's a religious network that's actually recognized by the state of Israel.
Right.
So it's a very, it's a very, part and parcel with the state.
Yeah,
And
that
this-
relationship with the government that we always knew about really became clear today, how
Right.
important that partnership is for the network of schools that Amit.
Right, absolutely. So, everyone listening today, I really hope can, at a minimum, visit our website, give us a call, learn more about us. We'd be delighted to have you on the mission. We'd love to have you involved on our president's circle if you can, help us in that level of a commitment of an impact. But the key takeaway for today is just get involved. Visit us. Reach out to us. We're here to welcome you as part of our family and to help the entire family of Israel grow further.
Ethan, I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great having you here today, and thank you for having us here today. More coming up with final words happening on a Tuesday from Amit headquarters in New York City at JM in the AM.
Sosoin leirecho Ayutze michas keren Dovid avdecho Simcho liyatzecho Sosoin leirecho Ayutze michas keren Dovid avdecho Simcho liyatzecho Sosoin leirecho Ayutze michas keren Dovid avdecho Simcho liyatzecho Sosoin leirecho Ayutze michas keren Dovid avdecho Parichas nere ben Yishai Mishichecho Sosim v'simcho Ayin motzevo Toina v'kasim lo Toina v'kasim lo Sosim v'simcho Ayin motzevo Toina v'kasim lo Toina v'kasim lo Sosim v'simcho Ayin motzevo Toina v'kasim lo Toina v'kasim lo Sosim v'simcho Ayin motzevo Toina v'kasim lo Toina v'kasim lo Taina v'kasim lo, taina v'kasim
I think Ina Tropper mentioned this earlier. One of the commenters on our app says Mrs. Ilana Gottlieb does a great job in leading Amit Seminary. So there you go. She gets a special shout-out. I thank everybody for tuning in this morning here at JM in the AM. We love putting together special programming, especially when it comes to a special organization that's doing incredible things in our community. And in this case, Amit, for 90 years, has been doing something very special in the state of Israel, as we've learned this morning. Check out their website, amitchildren.org. Take advantage of today's special for their May 15th journey to Israel, May 14th journey to Israel. amitchildren.org/Nachum. You could also use the phone number at 212-792-5698. 212-792-5698. If you want to join the President's Circle or the Chai Society or get involved in any way, 212-792-5698. And those heading to Israel over the next day or two, make sure to check out the Inbal Visitor Center led by Amit. You will see it, the Amit Visitor Center at the Inbal Hotel. Don't forget, they have amazing presence in social media, Amit, including the website, amitchildren.org. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/amit.children. On Twitter, it's twitter.com/tweet@Amit. And on YouTube, they have their own channel as well. So you can check all that out and enjoy. Achenu b'Yisrael and Achim Achem, our brothers and sisters in Israel, we are with you. It's your favorite America's one and only Jewish Moments in the Morning radio program, heard on listeners-sponsored WFMU East Orange, WMFU Mount Hope, Rockland County at 91.9 on the FM dial. Around the world on the web, jmintheam.org. Tomorrow we're back in studio in Jersey City between 6 and 9. Make sure to join us. Great programming on our stream all day long, including a wonderful live lunch coming up at 11 o'clock at jmintheam.org. Make sure to install the NSN app so you have it on your phone, the NSN Nachum Segal Network app. Big thank you to Stan in our studio, to Miriam Al-Wallach, ZK, and Danny Goldberg here on site at our makeshift studios at Amit. And a big thank you to those of you watching around the world, both live and later in archive form in the video that'll be available of today's radio program from Amit headquarters in New York City. Thanks for joining us. My name is Nachum Segal. Till tomorrow, Nachum Segal reminding you, remember the past, live the present, and trust the future.